of the Knaus Homestead. And for a very long time, he was one of the only members of the Knaus Homestead. He was a very proud descendant of the Knaus family, and he truly loved preserving our local history and heritage. He passed away with his family. So, Troy.
Just a quick reminder that on Monday, May 27th, will be the Memorial Day Parade. It starts at the Emmaus High School parking lot at 9 a.m. And will kick off at 9:30. Yeah. Um, and the parade will go to the Veterans Triangle area. It's a really somber event, and it's for our veterans. So just a reminder of that event.
Thank you, Roy. Anybody else? Hearing none. Next up is going to be a special presentation from the Emmaus Community Foundation. Mr. Hart.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to thank council for this opportunity to attend and explain to you the Emmaus Community Foundation. We're excited to publicly announce the operational go live tonight of the Emmaus Community Foundation. I guess this will be for the people online since everyone here knows me. I am John Hart. I'm the retired Senior Vice President of Operations of LVHN and former Borough Council member. I'm here this evening representing the Emmaus Community Foundation as chair of the board. 5 years ago, when I was appointed to council, I became immediately aware of two disappointing facts. One, that you could not cross-file to run for the 4-year term. And two, that the borough is not permitted by law to solicit donations for desirable projects outside of the budgeted tax base. Very disappointing to learn that. The challenges led us to a discussion among three of the former council members, Chris Dufresne, Chad Balliet, and myself, about how we could enable charitable funding for projects that would enhance the wonderful community in which we live and work. Thus, the Emmaus Community Foundation was conceived. Together with Mr. Pepe, we founded and incorporated ECF at the end of 2022. Throughout 2023, we focused on obtaining the 501c3 charitable designation, which, by the way, took 9 months, and recruited dedicated members of the board to share our passion for Emmaus. You have before you an executive summary of what ECF is and our genesis. There's also a website for your perusal. We're delighted to have our entire board here this evening with us. I believe you know most of the faces, but for the sake of the people that you may not know, let me just introduce you by their first names, and their bios are up on the screen. Pete Adams is a commercial real estate individual with Berkshire Hathaway and Fox Roach, known to many of you because of projects here in the borough. Council President Chad Balliet, who's the businessman in town here and owner of South Mountain Cycle. Chris Dufresne, a CPA and former Chief Financial Officer for Lehigh Valley Restaurant Group, better known as Red Robin. Chris, of course, is a CPA and has been a tremendous asset in helping us move forward. Myself, Michael Cook, who you might not know. Michael is over there. Michael is the former branch manager of the Nutropoli Bank just outside the borough on the pipeline there. He is now currently business development manager for Nutropoli Bank. Shane Pepe. Shane is an ex officio member without vote on the board and has been instrumental in helping us move this forward. Attorney Janie Slammin, who's a solo practice attorney here in town, formerly did a lot of work for PPNL and taught at the various colleges. Lastly, Evan Walters. Evan is the part owner and the chief financial officer of, am I pronouncing Cappy Associates. That's right here in town in the former Wells Fargo Bank. And you're going to hear more about that a little bit later when he comes up. While donations can come from anywhere and may be directed for special projects as approved by the board, which you can see from our webpage, I believe council, especially Mrs. Baumgartner, will be delighted at our primary focus targets. Mr. Dufresne, our treasurer, will talk about the areas of initial emphasis that the board spent a great deal of time debating and deciding what we wanted to focus on right out of the box. Chris?
Thank you, John. Thank you, council. So as John said, with the budget concerns with Emmaus, I mean, we've been on that side with you, two of us here. So, you know, we know there's a lot of costs that are going on with road construction, the sewer system, the water issues that we have here. And that doesn't even include the day-to-day operating costs of having, you know, first responders, a public works department, owning your own water. So there's a whole lot of ongoing costs that Emmaus is always going to have. And that's what makes this a truly great place to live. So realistically, we know that there's just no way some of these things are going to get funded unless we can get private residents or businesses to step up and hopefully, you know, have a passion for some of the things that are happening in Emmaus. So what we're really looking to do here is about 2 years ago, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but about 2 years ago, the borough did a park study, a pretty comprehensive park study that had a lot of, in our opinion, really neat and cool ideas in it. Again, unfortunately, being a realist here as a financial person, it's just not going to get worked into the budget in Emmaus. So hopefully that's the main area that we're going to focus on first, the parks, because a lot of work's already been done in the background on that. But we're not going to just focus on the parks. On our website, if you go to the projects page, you'll see the parks are listed individually on there. And then you'll also see that our other focuses are on arts in Emmaus and also the preservation of mostly our historic properties in Emmaus. So hopefully we can help raise some funds for that. So again, that's the reason, that's the why we did this, because there's a lot of nice to haves here that realistically we're not going to get through the normal course of the budget. Can you hit one of those like Community Park just hit maybe? Where it says learn more, Lions Park, that's okay. So a lot of these items that you see up there, they were in the park study that was done, especially in the community park and the Lions and that type of stuff there. So nothing's what we quote unquote invented on our own. It was part of the study that was done through the borough. And then if you see on the bottom, then you'll see arts and other projects on there. So those are loose costs. Those are based on the last study. Obviously, costs have probably gone up, you know, a decent amount in the last 2 years. But again, that's what we're going to focus on primarily on the park side. But also if somebody, a resident or a business owner, has a passion for arts or preservation of historic properties, it's something that we're going to focus on also here. Okay, so with that, I want to turn it over to Evan Walters, and he'll talk about a mixer event that we have coming up.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. So I think I'm the second newest member to this foundation. I've been part of the foundation now for approximately 3 months. Been a resident of Emmaus for greater than 20 years, and I've had my business in Emmaus. Recognize Roy from coaching EYA for many years. just have a passion to grow the community and make it a more enjoyable place to live. So I decided to take this journey with these gentlemen and lady. And I've had my business here for about 16 years. I've started off in a small rental on 4th Street and moved over to the old furniture building. And then we recently, approximately, I think 18 months ago, purchased the old Wells Fargo Bank. So I had the opportunity to renovate that. I don't know if any of you have ever been in there, but it was something else when we got in there. So many drop ceilings and much demo later. It took us about 9 months to renovate the building. And we finally have it to the point where we can operate out of there. So we felt that with the space we have, be a good opportunity to maybe bring in some invited guests, so to speak, to kind of learn about what we're trying to do here. Maybe bring in some investors, maybe some people that can donate that are part of the community that have successful businesses. So we're going to be reaching out if some of these gentlemen have not already reached out to some invitees, but we'd like to invite everyone here to the mixer event that we're going to have next Friday, the 31st, I believe. Yep. Next Friday, the 31st from 5:30 to 7. Everyone here is more than welcome to stop by. We're just going to have some light hors d'oeuvres and some drinks, and hopefully be able to explain this idea to some of the other local business owners in order to see if we can generate interest for them to donate as well. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm going to leave this over here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. I don't want to leave you with the impression that parks are our only area in which we will accept donations or recruit for donations. We've had some donors already donate, and some of them with unrestricted funds, and others for furniture, et cetera, for the fire department. That came through the foundation, the Knoll Furniture donation that it came for the fire department. So we will accept other donations and some of the other passions that individuals in the community or investors in the greater Lehigh Valley might have to donate to the community foundation. We'll accept questions.
Where do you make the donations?
I'm sorry,
Where do you make the donation?
online. Yeah, if you go to that website that you have in front of you on that piece of paper, it will take you to a link. We accept all the credit cards, et cetera.
I have a credit card.
Okay, you can, and we'll take property, homes, those kinds of things too.
In light of the news I shared with you before, no,
Ah,
on
you're
that.
gonna get
But I'm
big.
happy to talk to a certain partner of mine who may have a similar last name to you, and I'm sure we can come up with something.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Thank you. We were excited. I know it seemed slow in the beginning, especially the gentleman to my right would ask me questions every once in a while, what's going on, when I announced that I was leaving council several months before I left, about what's ECF doing, and I didn't have a lot to report. The key was putting the board together, raising some initial capital to get the organization off the ground. You know, things like bylaws, attorney fees, even the phone system. We have a phone system that we rent from the borough. You can call us directly. So
I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to each and every one of you sitting here and taking your time to A, come here, and B, put your time and resources into this project. And it's exciting that you have that much desire for the community. So thank you for your time, your energy, and your commitments.
thank you, Roy. You know, I can't say enough about these individuals. I've never met in him a more dedicated group. We give a lot of time to this, and everyone seems to share the same passion about Emmaus, and it's coalescing, and we're beginning to move forward. We're excited. We're
Thank you,
excited.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Time you gave us.
Could we possibly get a picture of the group?
Yep, I was
I
just
think
gonna
would
say
be-
that we're going to go to a brief recess here at 6:16 for a photo with these guys quick.
Right
All right,
here.
we're back here at 6:18. And for the record, let the minutes reflect that Councilman Nate Brown is not here. Do I have a motion to accept the May 6th, 2024 council meeting minutes?
So moved.
Ms. Baumgartner, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Honchad, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? 6 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Under communications, we got a letter of intent from Officer Mr. Gill to enter the drop program. Also have, this one's even cooler. Officer Timmy Klein is going to be the recipient of the 2024 Spirit of Courage Award. And that is going to take place on
October 14th.
October 14th. I guess more to follow on that. Congratulations, Mr. Klein. That is awesome. JuxtaHub is requesting a permit fee waiver request for renovations. That I guess will probably take over to Gen Ad to discuss, and then we'll bring it back to council unless council's open to discuss it now. But I think we'll just take it to Gen Ad and bring
We-
it back.
We meet in two.
I'd actually, if you could discuss it now, that would be great.
All right, well then I'll make a motion that we waive the fees for the permits.
So there's a motion by Mr. Labenberg to waive the permit fees. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Baumgartner. Any further discussion on this?
I
Mr.
would
Ed?
just,
I just wanted, oh, sorry, Shane. I
I
was
was
just
just
gonna-
gonna say, if you could, just add the provision, provided that they would pay for any external costs.
Like engineering fees?
Like a water hookup?
Yeah,
hookup?
if for some reason, so for example, they're gonna put in an elevator, they're going to have to pay for that elevator inspection.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to include external costs.
I would say non-fee related external costs, I would say.
Non-fee related external costs, I would say.
You second that?
I second the
All
amendment.
right. Is there any further comment on this? Well played.
I'm curious what the scope of this is.
Shane, do you have any further information on that?
But yeah, so this is
Well
this
played.
is, and again, so they are a nonprofit, beneficial for us. The scope is going to be any of our codes officers review, well, actually, we've already done reviews, and the code officers, inspection fees. So we would waive essentially our internal fees, for our UCC work. And by the way, this is not unusual for you guys to do for nonprofit companies, in the borough.
No, we just did it for the Historical Society.
But this is like 30,000 square feet. I was just curious, like how many hours, just not that
Yeah.
we shouldn't do it. I was just curious, like how much time our codes guys are going to be putting in such a huge warehouse that.
Yeah,
if it-
I would tell you that, Mrs. Watt, you have a good point. It is going to be a little bit of time. It's not though. It's not extraordinarily complicated because the structure's there. So it's going to be some basic electricity. It's going to be basic plumbing, and internal alteration work. It's not going to be doing footer inspections and foundation inspections and those kinds of inspections because the building's already there. So it's all alteration type of work, but it is, they will spend, I would say over 20 hours probably doing inspections, plus probably another five hours of their time has already been spent doing, plan reviews.
I have a question, but he had his hand up first. Go ahead. Okay. I just wanted to clarify, in the letter, they talk about phase one specifically. So does our vote specify phase one or is it broadly any fee?
So as of now, as the motion is made, it would be for the whole project. So if you want to have them come back for a second one, you can amend the motion again to address that, or you can suggest that the motion die, however you want to do that, because the motion is already made, you're in discussion.
Mhm.
So,
Well, so what I would tell you is they've only applied for phase one. Okay, phase two may come 2 years down the road. It may come 7 months down the road. Phase two is, I would say, more complicated work because phase two is going to include commercial kitchen work and some more complicated stuff, but they have to reapply for all permits for all that kind of stuff. So right now, why they call it phase one, I would say that it's the entirety of what they're doing right now is what I'm assuming you're going to be waiving if you do waive it.
So what we might consider is just waiving it for phase one. We don't know how long. I mean, when they presented to us, it was preceded most people on council who are on here now. It was quite a while ago. So who knows how long phase two will take. So that could be a compromise. It might be up to another council for the next phase.
Yeah, and their scope of work has also changed. Phase one doesn't include the box theater that they presented and talked about. It doesn't include the commercial kitchen that they talked about, and I don't think it includes the one dance studio that they talked about either. They are putting a considerable amount of money into it, though. I mean, we're talking, I think phase one is over $2 million at this point.
I was just going to bring up about the kitchen, but Shane already brought it up. So I will make a motion to amend it for only phase one.
Are we
you
able
don't have
to
to make a
amend it?
motion for it. You can just
Or
say,
I'm just an amendment, the motion.
Okay,
You second that?
I'll second the amendment.
So two amendments to the motion.
Is there any further discussion from council? Mr. Anderson?
Just, I was one, and Shanna had brought up when they first came to us, and we were gonna, Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, we were at one point gonna assist them with some other work pro bono from you, I believe, at one point, not pro bono, but some time, I guess you could say, dedicated to them,
Or grant
if I
writing?
recall, the grant writing time.
Yeah, and what I'll tell you is they've put together what I would call an A team. I don't think they're going to need my help. They have a pretty good board that kind of walks all circles there. So I'm not sure that they're going to need my help in the end.
I guess my point was, in the past history, we had assisted them in a way. So to me, this is just an extension of that assistance. That's all. Thank you.
Well, and so the other thing I would tell you is, you take money out of their pocket, you put it in the hours. It's money that could be going into enhancing the economy of the community, for that nonprofit that, by the way, our Arts Commission is very much a part of. So I don't want to lose money, and that's why I think it's important that you had that, excluding external cost in there. But I think this is a good thing for them and for us. I really do.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? 6 ayes.
I just want to say, if you haven't taken a tour yet, I recommend taking a tour, and they'll show you around and share their plans. So it's interesting what they plan to do.
Thank you. Next up, Borough Engineers Report. We have none. Solicitors Report.
no report, progress.
Thank you. Unfinished Business Part 1, we have none. New Business, we have none. Unfinished Business Part 2, we have none. Does anyone have an item not on the agenda? Hearing none. Madam's Mayor Report.
Thank you. All I have this evening is Proclamation 2024-593 for Memorial Day. Progress.
Thank you. Committee reports, Public Works, Mr. Anders.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Nothing for official action. We will be meeting on Monday, June 10th at 4:45. That will be in person and via Zoom. And with that, I'll report progress.
Great. Health, Sanitation, and Codes. Mr. Brown is not here, so Mr. Anders.
Yes, I will take that as well. our next meeting is May 21st at 4:45, and that will be via Zoom and possibly in person. With that, we'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Hohenscheid.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 items for action. First, referring back to previous Borough Council meeting when we learned about the Memorial Triangle redesign project. To make that official, I would like to make a motion to approve the redesign for the Memorial Triangle project.
Mr. Anderson,
Second.
is there any further discussion on this? I know that there was some questions about taking down some of those super old shade trees. Is that a definite in the project? Are they going to remove every tree and plant everything new?
I haven't gotten any official updates on that. I know that there was some concern about the longevity of those big trees. As far as I know now, the project as it was presented 2 weeks ago hasn't changed.
Okay. Anything further?
I spoke with Mr. Iyer, and he is excited to announce the plan to the community, and he is still open to taking feedback from the community. So if the community has a lot of questions about the trees, he's still open to having an arborist look in and see about the timescale. So while we are approving it, they still feel that if changes need to be made, that's something they'll address as time goes forward.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? 6 ayes.
Thank you. The second item is to, and again, this similar to Lions Park, will probably have to go through an ordinance once we get all the parks renamed. But just to get approval at this point to change the name officially to Veterans Memorial Triangle Park. That'll just help kind of with their branding and with their fundraising as well. Shane, I'm not sure what the best way to do this. Is it just to kind of get an unofficial?
So
No, I would go ahead and, well, first of all, ask your solicitor. He makes more than I do.
I don't know that's true, but
It is.
whatever. All right. No, the answer is you will need, in order to change the park name officially, you will need an ordinance. And I think that was the only reason this got pushed to this month was because of the last meeting. It was roughly, the problem was it wasn't on the agenda, so you couldn't vote on it.
Right.
You're welcome to endorse the name change, but you're not actually capable of changing the name until we advertise it. So that's,
But
and that's
and what this will do is this will allow them to kind of make that announcement at the Memorial Day event. And what I'll do is, I don't know that there are plans to change the names of any other parks at this point. So I can start drafting the ordinance for this park and the other park that you had made a similar vote on.
All right, thank you.
so I would just call it an endorsement of name change.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Shane to draw up an ordinance to change the official name of the Memorial Triangle.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Just one, I heard Brent say Veterans Memorial Triangle, and it does say park after it. Should it have park after it in your?
Right, it's Veterans Memorial Triangle Park.
So you may want to amend that motion again.
Sorry.
Sorry, Brent.
I just made a motion that he can draw up an ordinance. That's all I said. For the park.
To endorse the name change too.
The park part, sorry.
I mean, that's pretty much what I said.
I'm ruining Brent's night, unfortunately, but
Chris, will you second that?
Yes.
Correction?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
All right, and then finally, I would like to make a motion to authorize the borough manager to be able to apply for grants for what will soon be named Veterans Memorial Triangle Park.
A motion by Mr. Hohenscheid. Is there a second? Mr. Anders? Any discussion?
Shane, do you have a specific grant already in mind for this application? And will there be any matching from the borough, or will that part be taken by the Veterans Association?
Yeah, so Brent, that's a good question.
That's why I asked.
So there are two grants that I'm thinking of right out of the gate. One is a Pennsylvania DCNR grant. That would be a 50-50 grant. I do believe that they are working on raising funds. So I think the idea here is that the organization is going to try to find the match for it. Now, I had warned them that if I get involved in write grants, the price tag changes, right? And so that's something that we're going to kind of venture down a narrow line for them. For example, they've got their design that they got from a local company. You know, they said the cost was about $125,000. I know for a fact that we couldn't get that work done for $125,000 if I got a grant, because right out of the gate, that cost goes up by 40%. You know, it's state wages, it's state everything. It's going to have to include more formal engineering, et cetera, et cetera. So I think all we're committed to right now is if I find a grant out there that is going to be suitable for them, because there may be some foundation grants that might work for them, or some veterans grants that might work for them, or even some PHMC grants that might work for them that may be effective for that project.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
Shane, wouldn't that, if you were to go for a grant, wouldn't that also push their timeline further out than what they were looking for?
Yeah, and I had warned them of that as well. Again, so we may not apply for a grant at all, right? It just, I think all we're doing is saying, hey, if we find one, they have to raise the money too, right? I mean, that's the other part of it. And how fast are they going to raise $125,000 or even half of that? I mean, that's a pretty large haul. So I don't like, they're not going to build this park next month unless somebody, you know, shows up and hands them a very large check, which somebody could. But I have a feeling that they're probably a year or two out from executing anything anyway.
You mentioned DNC. If we apply there and get one, does that hurt us for other parks?
No, I don't believe so. I think DCNR is real good about purpose and making sure that you adequately executed your previous grants with them. So this one, I think, kind of strikes a different chord with DCNR than just a recreational facility, right? It's a memorial, it's a veterans purpose. So it's a little bit different than applying for something with swing sets and playground equipment. So a lot of times there's different pots of money for different purposes within the same organization.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Oppose? 6 ayes.
So two more things. Our meeting from last week, we had to cancel, did not have enough members present. Our next meeting will be June 20th at 4:45. That's going to be on Zoom, and I will report progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Public safety, Ms. Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have no items for official action, but I do want to highlight a couple of things that came up during our meeting. Good things. Our police department received reaccreditation once again. That happened just shortly after our last meeting, so we didn't get to announce it.
We didn't get the official letter yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Apologies. But I also want to recognize that our police department has had success using a hub model. So they're integrating, collaborating with other community services and trying to support individuals and plan and work together to support individuals in the community. And then I wanted to also congratulate Lori Berry, who graduated from medic school. And that is all for public safety. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, June 12th at 9 a.m. in person and via Zoom. Progress.
Thank you. General Administration, Mr. Liebenberg.
Thank you. We have one item to take action on. It's to hire an assistant borough manager. As you know, we met last Monday and decided on Kristen McTamney as our assistant borough manager, to hire her contingent upon a background check and a starting salary with 92,000 with 2 weeks vacation to start. And I'll place that in the form of a motion, and she'll also get the rest of the benefits that everyone else gets.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? 6 ayes.
At our meeting, it was an abbreviated meeting. We were able to knock out the values for insurance purposes as much as we could. So we're going to wait on Shane contacting the insurance and getting answers, hopefully, so that we have one more meeting before our June meeting, and maybe even 2. I'm not even sure on that. We might have 2 meetings, but with that, I'll report progress. Oh, our next meeting is June 5th, 9 a.m. by Zoom.
Good.
Progress.
Next up is Budget and Finance. And the only thing we have for official action is passing Resolution 2024-15, which is the bill list. And it is as followed. Bill list is $594,358.83. Payroll number 10, $196,602.59. Payroll taxes of $62,546.85 for a grand total of $853,508.27, done the 20th of May. Do I have a motion to approve the bill list?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Liebenberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Watt. Any discussion? Mr. Liebenberg?
Yeah, Shane, on page 22, there was a tire for our street sweeper, that was over $500, and our street sweeper isn't that old, and it was only one tire. I'm wondering, was that damaged from something?
Yeah, they blew it. So it got punctured on the sidewall, I believe.
Okay.
So one of the things about street sweeper, Brent, is they're sweeping the curb line. So the front tires and the back tires are right up against that curb. I think what happened was something was sticking out and sliced their tire.
All right, thanks.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Hearing none. 6.
Yeah, I see that.
Next up is Community Relations Planning and Development. Ms. Watt.
We had an interesting meeting on May 14th, in which we discussed the possibility of design standards. And it was suggested to us that we should focus on a small document on only the things that were the most important to us. And so if anyone has any feedback in the next few months about what they think is sort of the most important to them about design standards, I would be enthused to hear more about it. For example, if you're the most interested in the streetscape or the architectural style, that would be something I'd ideally like to hear before June 11th, but at any time would be fine. Our next meeting is Tuesday, June 11th at 5 in person and via Zoom. A progress.
Thank you. Next up, we have boards and commissions. You're going to find the pension board meeting notes from May 8th on there. Personal appeals part 2. We have nobody in the audience. We have anybody online? We have nobody online. Borough managers report.
Yeah, the only thing that I will add is we're still hiring for lifeguards. So if any of you want to put on your swim shorts and test to be a lifeguard, we'll take you. because
Navy, Brent?
we're still short. What was that, Jason?
I asked Brent if he was in the Navy. I said I'm more of a flotation device than anything.
Right, right. But I mean, with that said, Memorial Day weekend is coming up. We have, I think I had warned you about some of the cracks in the pool. Those cracks are not leaking at this point. However, we did detect where the more significant leaks are, and they're actually in the jetters. And so we're doing some leak testing work on them. So that may require some work, maybe during the week while the pool is closed, trying to replace some of those jet lines over the next few weeks. So that's good news that it's seems like it's not leaking out of the bottom right now. And if we get those patched up, maybe the pool won't be 67 degrees the entire summer.
Thank you. President's business, there is none. We will not have an executive session. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Mr. Lamberg, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Hohenscheid, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Meeting adjourned at